Relatives and loved ones of those on board the plane are overcome with emotion. They've dealt with anger, fear, flat-out sadness, and despair. I talked with James Halpern. He's an experienced grief counselor who's responded in the wake of disasters, including the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School here in the United States. He's the author of Disaster Mental Health, Theory and Practice. I asked him about how hard it is for families to have to grieve in the media spotlight.
You know, traumatic loss is difficult under any circumstances. I mean, you know, when you think about what these families are dealing with, it's a clear illustration of a traumatic reaction. So these folks have had their worlds have been shattered. And that means their assumptions about the world, about themselves, about other people is just gone. And then to have this kind of real over attention from the press and all of the sensationalism certainly doesn't help.
There seems to be this lashing out, not just at the news media, but also the Malaysian government. Are these the characteristics you would expect to see? I mean, are there any surprises, or is this textbook behavior that you would see after a traumatic event, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, you know, all these events are a little bit different. It's not surprising to see the anger when there's such helplessness and there's such frustration and there's uncertainty. And these kinds of things aren't supposed to happen. So whether it's, you know, any kind of a traumatic loss, that, you know, you're likely to see rage that can come about as a result of people trying to desperately assert some control. And, you know, you have authorities and agencies who don't seem to be doing as well as they could, and they're certainly not solving the problem. That is to say, they're not bringing back the deceased person or helping these folks to find their lost loved ones.
You were one of the Red Cross counselors who responded to Sandy Hook Elementary School in the wake of the shooting there in 2012. You counseled the survivors. Talk to us a bit about the unique challenges of counseling children versus adults.
You know, as you asked me the question, it's hard work. Whether you're working with adults who are suffering in the way that we've seen this, or working certainly with parents who have 5 to 7-year-old kids who have been executed. Most of the work that I did in Sandy Hook was really assisting parents, and many of those were young parents who had other children who survived. And so the work was, to a large extent, helping those parents to support each other and helping those parents to support their surviving children by encouraging them to have their kids feel safe, to provide reassurance, to remember that kids are helped by routine and honesty. And so again, those are the principles that I think we try to employ when we're assisting kids or we're helping parents with kids. But certainly the children should not be watching the TV coverage of these events. That's not helpful.
James, as I listen to you, I can tell that you know what I know, which is your work's very important, but it's also difficult. After an event like Sandy Hook, or after this, working with these people and trying to work their way through the grief process, how important is it for the counselor to get counseling?
I think that that issue is becoming more and more apparent, and we're all taking note of that. And in fact, all of the trainings in disaster mental health, the work that we do at the Institute, the work that we do at conferences, very much emphasizes the importance of self-care and the occupational hazards. So for there to be, you know, a real plan going into these events has become more and more important. And we do that, and I did that with Sandy Hook.
James Halpern, thank you so much for your time.